what we'll be doing today, because if we lose it, that means it's double problem. Okay, so I'm copying the link so you guys can go on to YouTube and let me know if you can see what see my screen from the YouTube live link. If you can see, just give me feedback so that we can continue. Can you? Hello?
Sorry, what was the question? Can you see your screen?
I mean, like, I just sent a link to the YouTube live link, and I told you guys to check if it's actually streaming from your end.
Yes.
Hello? Can you see my screen?
Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So let's just continue. So I'll stop sharing this particular screen now so that I can share an entire window. Then I'll move this browser window to one side, and that's going to be this side. So just hold on while I get to fix that. So that's that. So let me take this over to this side. Then let me take this over to my left hand side. Let me bring this here. Okay, so that'll be pretty much it. So I'll open Visual Studio Code. I want a blank Visual Studio Code page. So that's going to be this, yeah. And we'll just do the way we've been doing it. But in this regard, I think what we'll do is we are just going to we'll just code from a full screen, because this time around we are building an entire web page. We are not building just one section. So I'll try as much as possible to ensure that we use a big browser window, which is what we are going to be opening now. So I'll open the Brave browser window.
So I don't think you're sharing something yet.
Oh, I'm not sharing on the Meet call, but I'm sharing on YouTube actually. So let me share it.
Yes, so watch on YouTube.
Then it will be an audio class. Okay, you can see it now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we are launching soon. That was a project from yesterday. So I'm still going to use that folder, but this time around, let me just close this. Then let me keep this on one side, because these are the images we're using for the project. All of these images, and you see it's a lot. So, okay, this is the folder I'm trying to open. So this is the folder, and then I'll just delete everything from yesterday. There's a gist link, so you guys can go and look for it on the gist link. So, but as far as this particular, my computer is concerned, it won't be here anymore. So I'll just remove everything. Move to bin. What is that? Okay. Okay, so that's it. So first of all, I'll create a folder and I'll call it images. And then the images folder is where I move all of the images to. I'll move all of these images to the images folder. So we have all the images here. Then I'll move all of the I'll move the style guide here too. So it's a lot, not a lot, just like what we'll be doing. So readme index, I don't think we need anything else. So I'll just take one of these and open it so that we can be able to see what we are doing. So I think desktop design, I'll just open this desktop design like we always do. So opening that out, then my business with this folder, I think it's over now. So I'll just leave this open. So this is what we are trying to do today, from start to finish. So help us God. So what I'll do is I'll expand this window, and it takes full screen, takes the my full screen. Then I will expand my Visual Studio Code as well to take almost the entire screen. So, and the reason I'm doing that is because we are building an entire page this time. We're not building just one component of the page, so that we can have more space to preview our page and then still come back to it. And let me just close this and come back to this. So I'll create an index.html file like we've always done. .html, and doesn't have to be index.html. Basically, we are just using index.html because that's standard. That's what most people use. But you can call your HTML file anyway. Then let's create a folder and call our folder CSS or styles. Let's just call it CSS. Then inside CSS we put our styles.css. And I'm sure all of you guys are familiar with this, regardless of where you are. You are familiar with what I'm doing now. So let's create our standard HTML5 boilerplate by typing the exclamation sign, which is what Visual Studio Code does for us. Type the exclamation sign and then press tab. So here the name of the project is basically blog R. So blog, if you can pronounce that, will help me. And Mr. Lawrence, I think your mic is making noise, please. Okay. So we have this now. Then after this, I think we just have to start working on our page as soon as possible. But let's look at our style guide and see the fonts we need so that we can easily get those fonts then from there. So it says we need a font Overpass, then we need another font Ubuntu. So we need two fonts basically for the project, and we just try to find out where we are using those fonts exactly. But let's just try and get those two fonts to our page. So Overpass and Ubuntu is what we need. So let's go as usual let's go to Google Fonts. Yeah, and on Google Fonts, let's look for what's it called, Overpass and Ubuntu. So we first go with Ubuntu, and Ubuntu is asking for font width. Overpass is 300 and 600 font width. So Overpass. Okay, Overpass. We want 300 and 600. And 600, 300 regular. Remember, we have regular and we have the italicized one. Then 600, the regular one. So that's just what we need for the Overpass font. So let's copy the CDN here and put it in our HTML file. So I'll copy the CDN, Ctrl C, and then we'll come to our index.html and do this. Just say import Overpass from Google Fonts. So that's that. So I'll paste the link here and press enter. Let me save so that Pretty indents it for me. Then let's also import the Ubuntu font. So we need to look for Ubuntu now. This is Overpass. So, and I'm sure Ubuntu comes with most browsers, but let's just get it still. So what we are looking for here is 400, 500, and 700 font family and font width. So 400, 500, and 700. 400, and would have just even taken it together. 500 and 400, 500 and 700. I think that's it. Yeah, and I think it kind of just combines the two together for us, and that's fine. Yeah, So let me remove this one, which is the one from yesterday. So let me remove all of these ones. This label Franklin, that was from the project we did yesterday. So let me leave only these two. So I don't really need two CDNs basically. Let me just use one because it combines everything inside one CDN for me. And CDN stands for Content Delivery Network. So let me just paste that here. So, and then I would say import, instead of saying importing them separately, let me say import overpass and font. So that's that. So then we copy this here and paste it in our CSS. Let's just paste it in our body tag. So inside of our CSS, let's select the universal selector and disable margin and padding by default. Margin 0, padding 0, 0. Yeah. Then okay, let's do body and then set the font family of our body to this. But nothing will happen now. We have not even opened our index.html, neither have we saved the changes we made to the fonts. So let's save the changes and then let's come here and type, let's just type an H1 and do blog R. Yeah, doing blog R, writing blog R. We are writing it. So doing that, let's link our CSS at once. So let me just so we are linking styles of CSS. So remember, it's with the link tag. Then the href is the place where the file actually is. So when you do dot in trying to query your file system, dot actually means the folder that you are currently in, and the folder we are currently in is this OIBC classes folder. So from there we do dot slash, and you can see suggest to us that is styled CSS and images, and all of these are directly inside this part, this directory part. So they are directly inside of it. So we now want to go into our CSS folder, and in our CSS folder I want to select styles.css. Then for the relationship as usual is a style sheet. Yeah, and then we just close the self and closing that, and then we open this with live server and see what that will get us. So I opened it in my Chrome, but I copied the link so I can come to, I can come here, and so you can see our font is actually working. And the way it works is inspect, and then when you inspect, you can, take a look at, the body element. I can see that the body element actually has two font families applied to it, and then one is, this, and this actually gets disabled by default. So we'll take a look at the place where we have to use each one of these specific fonts, because we can't apply those two font families. You can actually see that CSS kind of cancels the first one we applied and it's using the second we applied, and that's because of the cascade. Like I've always said, it runs from top to bottom. If you look at our styles of CSS, you see that the second style, the second font family specified is the font family we actually see here. And if I disable this, the first one becomes active. You can see that it actually changes as I enable and disable this. There are two different font families, but that's fine. So we are trying to build out what we see. We are not trying to become too creative with what we are building. So let me put this on the side, and I think it's helpful to actually put this on the side so that we can be able to see it. I'll put it on the side and I'll zoom it in a little bit. Yeah, zoom it out. It is zoom out or zoom in, whatever zoom means. So I don't know why I struggle to drag this thing every time. So let's do like this. Yeah. So first of all, the first thing we have to focus on is this our blog. Is anybody with me?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, check your HTML.
Okay, what's happening to it?
Okay, okay, it's correct now. Sorry, I saw something the other time. It's showing red. This block, the title was showing red. The first title tag was showing red the other time. I was just thinking maybe probably I'm still correct now.
That's because before I close this tag, it's because I haven't closed that tag.
Okay.
Okay, so guys,
Okay.
this is the point where you turn on your video, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Help me see your face. Am I the only one that doesn't have light? Okay, yeah. Yeah,
We no get light
yet
too.
really has light. Don't worry, we are all in
Yeah.
Nigeria, so just turn on the camera whichever way it is. The Lord understands. And you guys should buy a rechargeable lamp. Now buy a rechargeable lamp so that you can use rechargeable lamp too. Who is shiny eye like that? Triumph. Is everything okay? So that's fine. Okay, so this is what we are trying to build out, and then let's just start. So the first thing we do is, obviously it is very clear and glaring that we need a div. Yeah, we need a div on our top nav element, and the div we need is actually going to contain pretty much everything we'll do here. So let's get started with the div. Yeah, so first of all, we'll create a div and we'll call that div navbar. So let me just remove this guy. So, and this time around, we can't be seeing our changes in the browser, because the browser is full is on another side of the screen entirely, and that's so that we can have more we can be able to view it even in a larger way, as against just having everything clustered up. So if you are using Visual Studio Code, you can actually do this to write a class name. You can do this and do navbar, yeah, and it automatically turns that to a class name for you. Can you see that? Then if you want an ID, you can do this and do navbar if an ID is what you want, and it will generate an ID for you. But in this case, what I want is a navbar. So let me do div.navbar and press enter. Yeah. So that's that about that. So my div, I have a div now that has what's it called? My div has a class name of navbar. Then inside of the div, I'll just do div dot. I'm going to div dot okay. So for this element here, it's very obvious that they are grouped together, and these two are also grouped together. So we'll create two divs inside of our navbar. So we'll call one navbar left, yeah, and that's going to be the where the logo and everything will sit. So let's just put an HTML comment here and say logo and links. Yeah, then we'll create another div dot navbar right, and then we are going to say this is going to be what? Logo, sorry, not logo, login and sign up buttons. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so let's say navigation bar. Yeah, so that's that. So first of all, let's target these two guys here, and let's see if our logo is an image, because yesterday we almost made okay, our logo is not a text, but it looks so much like a text, but it is an SVG file, and an SVG file is kind of a different kind of different kind of file that you use mostly in web development, but you use it in graphic design as well. It's lighter, and there's a special way of drawing it. You can actually draw SVG just using plain HTML SVG tags. But we're not going to be drawing the logo out of SVG syntax tonight. We're just going to be using this SVG file already prepared for us. Because if you click on the SVG, you actually see that inside of it is HTML. Can you see that? It's actually an HTML tag that makes up that SVG. So this blog is actually an HTML technology that was used to actually draw it out. You get the point? And then if I should copy this inside of HTML like this, and paste it, don't be surprised that you're actually going to see that inside of, and because the color is white, you might not see that, you might not see that just yet. But if I do this and click on navbar left, and what is happening? Let me go back. Did I save that? Okay, I haven't saved it. Let me press Ctrl S to save it. Then let's come here. Then if I come here, you should see that element here, and that's this. Can you see it now? Then because if I give my body a background color of black, so just so that we can see that, you see that we can actually see that here. So the SVG file is actually it's basically an HTML technology, but we are not going to be using we are not going to be writing it inside of HTML like this. Let's just import it as an image, which is already prepared as an image here. Do you guys understand that?
No, sir.
You don't understand that. So SVG is a kind of, it's just research around HTML SVG. HTML SVG tag. HTML SVG. With the SVG tag, you can actually draw some cool things in HTML. You get. So it's either you write your SVG directly inside of your HTML like I just did now, or you just create a file and give it a .svg extension. It's kind of a special kind of tag actually, because all these things that you see are actually like mathematical offsets that actually draws this logo for us. But let's not go into that. I'm not even talking about it tonight. So let's do img. So we'll do /images. We are going into the images, and what we are targeting is what? Logo.svg. So we target logo.svg. So we are going to see that our logo is going to be here now, just the same way it was before. And to just be to just make sure that we have it, we still have it, I'll just make our background color, our background have a color of black again. You can see that it's still there, just like before. So that's that about that. So we have this stuff now. So the other way we can do this, guys, here is just by what we'll do is we'll create this is a div that contains both of them. So we'll create a UL inside of it. But for our image, let's just, to be correct, let's put our image in a div. So let's say logo wrapper. So we'll paste our image inside, and because we are doing that because our image by default is a block level element. So I will say links wrap. Then inside of our links wrapper is just going to be a UL element, and we are going to call it links. And then we are going to have li, and then our li is going to have a class of link.
Hello, please. Sorry, what do you mean by our image? Okay, our image is a block level element. What do you mean by block level?
Sorry, it's an inline element. So we want it to be a block level element. We want it to behave like a block level element. So we'll put it inside a div that is a block level element. Block level elements take the entire width, while inline elements stay side by side. They are stacked side by side. So you can read about that actually. So I'll just write that in the chat. Inline. Okay, inline elements and block level elements. So we have the logo now, and we have the links, but we don't actually have a link. So instead of our link, we are going to have anchor tags like an A tag. And if you don't want your tag to go, your A tag, which is like a link tag, to go anywhere, you just put this hash sign inside of it. Then inside of the A tag, we are going to write product, which is like the first link. So I'll press Control, and I'll copy that a couple of times. So we have 3 more. So I'll write product, then I'll write company. Then I'll write connect. And when we go to our, our, what's it called? You can see that we have something like this here now. Doesn't look so much like what we want to see, but we are in a good place. We are in for greatness on this one. So that's for our nav bar left. Yeah, in our nav bar left, we have the logo inside of a div. Then we have another div that contains the UL, which contains the li that has the links inside of them, each one of them. So next we are going to the sign up and login buttons. So inside of the sign up and login buttons, we don't have so much to do. What we just need to do is we create 2 buttons. We create 2 buttons. Yeah, that's the idea. And does anyone know that we can actually use anchor tags for this, not just buttons? Have you guys ever worked on your own with buttons before?
Not really. I'll just put mine inside button and finish.
You just what?
I just put mine inside the button, then style the button in its own.
Okay, that's fine. It's all right. Okay, so what we'll do here is we're just going to do div dot we're going to do div dot login button. Then inside of it is going to be a button, and the button is going to just have login. Then we'll create another div, and remember we're inside this nav bar right. it now having two children. Then the second one is going to be, the second child is going to be sign up. And this is not the actual sign up button. The button is going to be inside of it actually. So this is going to sign up. So we save that. When we go to our HTML, we're going to see all of that, but it doesn't look like what we want to see for now. But it's fine. Don't kick yourself about that. It's going to be all right. We are going to nail it in a bit, but that's fine. Let's just keep it like this for now. So we have a nav bar, a major nav bar. What's it called? A major nav bar div. Then inside of it we have nav bar left, and then we have nav bar right. Does that make sense, guys? Do you have any questions so far? Hello?
No.
Are you sure? And you're following everything I'm doing?
Yeah, they brought me lights. Yes, sir.
Okay, they brought your light.
Please, sir, please go back to the button, for the sign up button.
Okay. Yeah.
Sir?
Yeah, I'm with you. This is the sign up button.
I said you go back. Okay, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay. You know why I did it this way?
Yes, sir.
Why is that?
Yeah, I think maybe at the end of the day, you can just like give it the styling of in between spacing. So,
So I
nav bar.
can start.
Okay, the primary reason why I did this is because the, what's it called? The nav bar, the button element is actually an inline element. So I don't want to run into problems of margin and padding with them. That's why I'm putting them inside their own div, respective divs, so that I can add the margin, padding, and whatever I want on the div itself, and not trying to add the margin and padding, because it behaves in a very funny way actually if you are trying to use margin padding with inline elements, especially on a horizontal axis. It doesn't behave very well. Okay, so from what I can see now from here, seems as though the Ubuntu font is just on the nav, while the rest of the body tag actually has that overpass font. So let's target our navbar element in CSS for now, and let's just transfer that Ubuntu font to it. So we say .navbar. That's just to ensure that we do that as soon as possible now, so that we don't start worrying about it much later. So I think that's better now. So let's go back to our HTML. So at this point, we can actually start creating this our header section. But in order for us to be able to do this particular thing the way we are supposed to do it, I would want us to, I would want us to create, this section, finish this section, finish everything about this section, then we now go on to do other things. So this is the navbar. And remember that the navbar and this other text and group of buttons here are inside one major parent div. So that's that parent div. That's what we are trying to do now. So we are just going to, we are already done with the navbar in terms of the structuring in HTML. So, but we want to put the navbar and this inside of one container, because it's very obvious in one container they share the same background color. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I'll cut out the navbar elements now, and I'll create a div. Does that make sense? And the div I'm going to create now is going to be the header. I'm just going to call it the page header. And I'll put my navbar back inside of it. Yeah. So this is going to be our navbar, our navigation bar basically. Yeah. So let me just close that out, and this is going to be our, this is going to be the hero text. That's what they call this kind of text, this leading text on every web page. So guess what? That's going to be in another div, of course. So here we'll have an H1. Yeah. So let's have an H1 that says a modern publishing platform. Then inside of it, we have a paragraph, and the paragraph is going to just say grow your audience and build your online brand. Does that make sense? Yeah, then okay, I think what we'll do here is let's just group these two guys together. We'll group these two guys together and call it div.hero text. Yeah. Then inside underneath it, we are going to do div.hero buttons, and then we're going to do dot what starts for free, not green. It's more like we never green button. Yeah, and the button says what start. Is that a capital for? Okay, small for, then capital 3. Then I'll save that. Then I'll do div dot what learn more. Okay, and okay, I'll just show you guys something when we start styling this, all of these stuff. So we are going to say button, yeah, and inside of our button we're going to say what learn. So when we go back to our document, it will not look so glorious right now, and I don't expect it to look so glorious, but gradually we just start taking it, you know, one step at a time. So now that we are done with this header session, basically we are done with the structuring of this whole thing. So let us use CSS now to style it.
Yay!
You are doing yay. Okay. Okay, so in the spirit of yay, so what's the first element? So the first the first element is the page header. So that's what we target. So we target the first element, which is dot what page header, and I like to style from top to bottom. But the reason why I'm doing this, and as a matter of fact, instead of doing you know, nav bar, let's just keep this to the top and just use a semantic tag for our nav bar. So I'll just do nav, and nav is a kind of tag basically in HTML. So for our nav bar, instead of using a div, let's just use a nav. It still works the same way, so we shouldn't have any problem. Yeah, so we're using a nav tag, and that's a semantic tag. Remember what semantic tags are, guys? Hello?
Yes, sir.
What are semantic tags?
The semantic tags are tags that have like specific meanings, or their names like gives you an idea of what the tag is, like button or section.
Yeah, they actually have meaning, while non-semantic tags don't have meaning. Yeah, that's
They have like their names don't suggest what they are used for, so they can be used for, like, you can style it to be anything that you want it to be.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. But you can style all of them to be whatever you want, just that some of them communicate meaning to the browser while others don't communicate meaning. They just display on the browser basically, and you know, it's not your responsibility to put whatever you want to put into them. But semantic tags have, you know, like a nav element. Now it would be irrational for you to start making a nav element a paragraph or maybe a footer section. Once you use a nav element, it should be apparent that it's supposed to be for a navigation bar, not for anything else. So that's just the idea behind semantic tags. So I think just to be able to style this thing, because in as much as I would like for us to, you know, have this on its own tab, but for now let's just kind of keep it here, and let me reduce this so that we can see what we are doing, because I feel so far from the page just by keeping it on that particular, you know, that particular screen. But that's the best way to go about it though. It's not far-fetched for you to, you know, have your browser on one side and then, you know, you're working on the other tab. So let's first do a display of flex for the navigation bar, and that's just going to put them side by side. Okay, so this is for the page header, rather display of flex for the page header, and we want to just align everything to the middle horizontally. So in this case, you can see that our modern publishing blah 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 is beside them. We don't need it to be beside them this time around, because the two things inside of our page header is this div here and the nav, this div and the nav. And as a matter of fact, let's also change this to a semantic tag. Let's call it header. Sorry, the header tag. Yeah, that's another semantic tag, guys. So instead of using just div, so let's use header. So we have two things inside of the and this whole thing should be header, but let's just leave it like that. It's fine. So we have this div and it has two children, the nav and then the header. So now when we did a display of flex, it just kind of put the two of them side by side, which is what flexbox is doing on a normal day. So we're going to change the flex direction to colon, because they are supposed to be on top of each other. This and this should be on top of each other, not beside each other. Flex direction now should be colon. And when I save that, they come back on top of each other. So what I want to do next is to just set the color, and the color we're going to use is that primary HSL color of 00. We're going to use pure white, which is this. So that's the color we're using, because everything there is pretty much white. So let's just set the color to white. And I don't want to keep copying what I'm not supposed to copy. Okay, so you can't see most of the things now because they are now white, but they are still on the page. If I kind of highlight it, you can see that they are still there. Then we do a font size. Let's check the font size for our nav and our body. So this one says 16 pixels. So do we have any instance of font sizes? So let's just kind of set the font size with 16 pixels. And I've realized that their font sizes are not always perfect too. So let's just keep 16 pixels for now, which is what is specified that we use. Then we already setting the font family here to be Ubuntu, and we just check again to see if we are correct with the font family, comparing it with what we have on the image that we have here. So now we are going to be using a linear gradient color, because if you look at this, you are going to see that they have this slight linear gradient color, which actually is bright towards this side and faint towards this other side. So we take a look at those in a bit. So let's just apply the linear gradient.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Please, I'm a bit I don't really get right when you a model black is at the top, then you did display flex, then it goes straight, right? So then you now do display display something, display flex to be column or something. Well, can you go back to the CSS, please? Okay, flex direction, column. I don't understand. Column, why is it not coming down?
By default, when you do flex, it is going to become a row. It's going to put them on a row.
Yeah.
But you can change the direction to a column. You get the point?
Column, how? I don't understand.
Column is like this, like vertical. When you have a table, rows are horizontal, columns are vertical. So by default, when you say display flex, it goes horizontally. Then when you now say flex direction should be back, that means you are inverting the flex direction. So just read about it basically.
Yeah, thank you.
It's fine. So let's just deal with the background color for now, and let's see what they have for us on the background color. So background gradient, they said intro to CTA mobile now. What's that supposed to be? CTA text. Okay, there's a gradient here basically, and let's just try and get that. So I think I was able to find. So let's do background image, and remember gradient is actually a type of background image. So let's do linear gradient, and linear gradient of we are going to do it is going to be going towards 90 degrees, because it is going towards this side. It is going towards one side. It's actually going towards the 90 degree mark. So 90 degree. And then we're going to do HSL, which is this orange color, the bright orange color. HSL, this light red color, basically. I think so. Should be going from here. Yeah, and let it go to the darker one. Okay, we have very light red and we have light red. So I think it should be these two. So let's save and see. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. It looks more like it now, right? So we need this image on top. So this pattern on top of it is an image basically. So because we are already using background image here, we can, you know, there's a possibility for us to use background color and background image on the same element, but we cannot apply background image twice on the same element. So that leads us into a problem. We have to be able to apply this image here. Where's that image? It's in our images folder, and it is this there's this illustration here, and I'm still trying to find out which one exactly is the illustration. Okay, I think it's this BG pattern. Yeah, BG pattern intro to. Okay, I think it's this BG pattern here. So we have to be able to, and let me just, you know, copy the path and open it in the browser so that you can see what I'm talking about. So I think this is the image we are looking for here. Is that it? Let me copy this other one, if it is this one. And if it doesn't open up, okay, I think this is not the image we are looking for. So I think it should be the other one. This other one, I think it's actually on the browser when I visited that page. When I copied part and visited, I think it's on the browser, but I think it's color white. That's why we didn't get to see it. It's having a white color. Is that? What did I do? Okay, copy part. Yeah. So I think if we inspect, it should be on the page. So you can see it is actually there. It's on the page. It's SVGs. And if we change our body color to maybe like background color, it's actually there. That's the truth. But because I'm opening just a plain SVG file and it won't let me just, you know, there's no HTML here, just SVG. But it's actually there. This is it. So I think let me change this to.
Mine is opening.
Okay, it's opening with you, right? Yeah. So it's there. So this is what we are looking for. This pattern intro, blah blah blah. So we cannot put that on this same thing again. We can't put that on this page header element. But we need the background to be on this head and this entire thing. You know, we need it to be here on this page header because that's where the background is really. Do you understand that? So now the way we can solve that problem is by creating another element that will be equal in width and height to this page header element. And the way we do that is let's just cut this out. Right click and cut it out. So we create another one and call it what? Page header pattern, which is that SVG pattern. Yeah. So that's let's paste what we copied back, what we cut out back. So we'll paste it back inside. Yeah, this page header bar. Let's just paste the nav and the header inside of it. So we target this class now to apply that SVG, what's it called? That SVG image as the background for that element. So what we are going to do now is we're just going to say background image. And the reason why we can't do that on this our page header direct is because the linear gradient itself is already a background image. Do you get that? And we cannot apply one property twice. You understand?
No, sir. Please come again.
For instance, you know, when you apply a color property on an element, and using the same rule set, you apply a color property, a different color, it will override the first one. So the way we use background image, the way we use linear gradient is that I remember I told you that linear gradient is actually, or any gradient whatsoever, is a kind of image. It is not just an ordinary, you know, text colorful background. It is an image really. So that's why we use it with the background image CSS property. We cannot use it with background color, for instance. It has to be background image. You get the point? You see, it's not displaying. So it is for background image. Now we need to use this pattern also on this same section. You get the point? So that means we cannot apply that background image on this particular element anymore because we're already using the linear gradient on that element, which is already using the background, is the value for the background image property. So we now have to create another element and put everything that was inside this one inside that element. Then make this element equal width and height with this element so that there will be no difference. And you see what I mean by that in a bit. You understand me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's just keep going gradually. So we apply the background image here, and let's just press it. So I think it is this background intro desktop here. So that should be, let me save it now. When I save it, and then this particular I think this particular okay. So I'll do background repeat because it's actually going to try to repeat. Let me do no repeat, the usual background things we do. Sorry, the background color. No repeat. Then we'll do background position. And position it looks more like we position it somewhere in the middle, but not exactly in the middle. So we'll position it 25%, you know, along the vertical axis and 50% along the horizontal axis. Yes, so I think we can actually see now. Let's make it full screen and see what we can see. So it's there now, but you know, I think we need to manipulate the height of this element. So what I'll just do at this point is I'll just come on top of, you know, this main page header, and you can see that this is equal in height to this other one now. Can you see that now? So let's actually, you know, the moment we start styling it, and I think it actually looks, it doesn't really look like it now because our stuff is not very high and we cannot be specifying custom height at this point. Let me just specify a custom height as an element. So let's say 400 pixels, and you see that we see more of our background now. And I'll specify the same height here, or call this one, give this one a height of 100%, just to let you know that you can see that it looks very similar now. But we will not need to specify that kind of height directly on this element. You know why we won't be doing that? We won't be doing that because by the time we add the margin padding to this, the height will automatically improve to become like this. Does that make sense? Because we've not done anything margin padding for now.
No.
Okay, don't worry.
I don't understand though. I don't understand.
Yeah, by the time we add margin padding to this, definitely the height of this header section will increase. Does that make sense? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, by the time we apply margin and padding, it's going to increase the height of this place. Then we can now see more of the background. So until we get to that point, we don't want to do any other thing. So let's just start focusing on our nav and every other thing. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let's target the element inside of this now. So let's target the navbar first of all. So the navbar class is what we'll be targeting. Target the navbar class. We'll do the navbar. And then what is the first thing we do? Because these are these three things, and these two elements actually, because remember we group these two together and we group these two together. So what we need to do is this entire navbar section now, we need to give it a display of flex to put them side by side. And you see what that does now. It puts them side by side. Can you see now? So that's for the navbar. And we do a justify content or space between. So we are not doing justify content center now. We do justify sorry, not space around. Space between. So it's going to push this other one to the extreme. Can you see that now?
Wow.
So it pushes it. Say wow. So it pushes it to the extreme. So we add some padding around our navbar. And then let's look at the image we're working with. So it has a padding of, if I'm correct, it has some padding on the left and right, and add some padding on the top and bottom. So we just add like 50, 50, 50 around it to see what that looks like. And we can always manipulate the spacing later. So we add padding of 50 pixels. And it will take some time before, and this is equivalent to actually saying 50 pixels without having to repeat it. We can just say, you can see that we are seeing more of the background image now. So we can just see 50 pixels because it will apply to the four sides. It won't make any difference. So the other thing we can do here is, okay, I think we are done with the overall nav element. So let's focus more on each element inside of the nav element. So we have two children inside of the nav element. We have nav left and nav right. So let's focus on nav left. And inside of nav left, what do we have? we have the logo, and then we have this div that has UL and LR inside of it. I just hope I'm not running too fast again, but time is not always on our side. So for this one too, remember that the blog and this link should be side by side. So what do you suggest we do again? Can you just guess?
And give it the same display of flex.
Exactly, you are getting it. Be confident. Display of flex, and they will be side by side just like we need them to be. But they don't look nice yet, but no problem. Remember I said HTML by itself is very, very ugly. That's why we are learning CSS. That's why you cannot run away from CSS. You're not running away from this guy. Because without it, our HTML is hopeless. Okay, so that's that. So we have our nav, what's it called? Nav left, or yeah, that's our element. Does anybody want a question? Seems like someone is trying to say something. Seems like the more you try to say, the more I choke it down. Okay, so display of flex, we give it an align items of center, because eventually we don't want this image to be at the top, then this link should be at the bottom of it. So let's give it a display align items of center, and you will see why you can see that they are properly aligned side by side now, but it doesn't look so nice yet. So inside of that, we have inside of this nav left, we now have logo wrapper, right? So let's copy logo wrapper and try to do some tricks to the logo wrapper. So, and they are all class names basically. So logo wrapper, and we have nothing much to do with logo wrapper. We just want to target the image inside of it and manipulate the size of our image. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I just want to reduce the size. Let's reduce the width a little bit. So let's make the width. Let me actually check what the width is. I don't want to guess. So the width at the moment is about 101 pixels. So let me just change it to about 90 pixels. And here's how I know the width. Once you just take your mouse like this from the developer console and hover on top of an element, you can see the dimension. This one is 101 by 40 pixels. So I'm changing it to 90 pixels. So it will become smaller event. It's now smaller. So the next thing we want to target now is this what's it called? Link strap. I want to target the link strap. We are not doing anything to the link strap per se. We just want to target the links inside of it. Yes, so and the links is where you get this ugly bullet points beside the links. So let's target that, and let's target UL. And what we want to do first to UL is to rescue it by removing those ugly 3 dots by the side. And the way we do that is by doing this style of none. When we do that, those black dots are gone. And we're saying wow now. Nobody's saying wow. Maybe you've seen that before. Not impressive. Okay, wow. Just say wow. Even if you've seen it, you'll just say wow. It's very encouraging. Okay, so let's do a display of flex as well to this element, because the links they have to be side by side. Remember, they have to be side by side as well. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
They have to be side by side. Yeah. Okay. So we'll give it a display of flex. So you can see it now. So you can see that there's a margin between our image itself and this guy. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to give our image a margin right. And we'll give it a margin, let's say, of about 15 pixels to see what that looks like. We might need more looking at this. We might need more eventually. So I think what's there is about like 25, 30 pixels. So let's put 25 pixels and see what that looks like. So I think that looks much better. But so now the next thing we want to target is our links wrapper. We want to target the UL and then the LR inside of the UL. Then what we want to do is we just want to, we'll be adding some padding to it. Yeah, definitely. We want to add some padding to it, but I think by default, this guy has a default margin that, will disturb us eventually. I mean the UL. Let's just take a look at it. Okay, I think I removed it from the universal selector. I removed margin and padding because by default, UL used to have this ugly margin on the left that you don't usually need. So we want to target, so we've selected the nav. We are working on the nav left now. We've worked on the logo. We have given a nice margin to the right, so it pushes this to the other side. Apply display flex here. So now what we need to do is just to space out the link list item inside of this UL. So we just want to space them out a little bit. Does that make sense to you guys? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's just
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So let's space them out a little bit. So yeah. So we'll do a margin. 0 at the top and bottom, and let's do like 10 pixels. So let's go and see what that looks like. So you can see we have spacing around them now. But you can see they look very ugly because of this blue color around them. So I think inside of our nav, instead of using these 16 pixels, and okay, I think I didn't set any font size for the nav bar. So we are going to manipulate the font size for this in a while. But you know, inside of the airline, we have an anchor tag. Yeah, there's an anchor tag inside of the airline. You remember that? So we gave the anchor tag a class of link. I actually forgot that we gave that a class of link. So instead of just doing ULLI, blah, 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 let's just bring our class name, and it should be just the same. Does that make sense? And we also gave our UL a class of links. So instead of doing all this, you know, combined selector, wahala. So let's just call links because it has its own class name. We don't need to start, you know, going deeper and digging deep into the distance. So let's just do link, which is the each list item A, which is the anchor tag inside of it. So we're going to do font size, and I want to reduce the font size a little bit. Let's say 14 pixels. And then the most important thing we can do to ourselves now that will make us so happy is to remove the text decoration. And we remove the text decoration, put the text decoration of none to remove the underline. It looks annoying. Then what we can also do now is to, you know, to set the color. Sorry. I want it to inherit the color, basically. And I think that should work. So you know what I did by inheriting the color? We already set a color, a font color on this page header tag, which is this white. So instead of this default blue color, ugly looking color that comes with the anchor tag, we want it to inherit it from its great grandfather, leaving a very good heritage. So now it is safe from ugliness. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Eh?
So, sorry, I have a question.
Ask.
Could you please go to your Visual Studio Code? Okay. The margin you gave for each link, I was wondering, what will it look like if you just put justify content space between?
Okay. The problem with the is that you triumph.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is it, right? You mean this? So if I do it, let me just go on to remove the margin now. Let me remove the margin. If I do, you can see that this thing is as wide as it is. So if I do justify content, space between, it doesn't affect anything because the UL is as wide as the combination of the width of these three items. Do you get the point? So there's no space between to explore. Do you get the point?
Okay, sir.
So the only way I can do that is if I will specify a width that is bigger than the width of these three things combined together on the UL itself. So if I say like a width of maybe let's say 60%, then that, sorry, not 60 ampersand, 60%, you know, and what's that? So you can see it actually spans across it, but it still doesn't make any sense because okay, I think this way I need to set the width actually. And you know, I really have to keep going up because the parent is as small as this one. This one is as small as the children. You get the point? So it's just kind of complicated. So because you know, like the way this parent element behave is that they take the size, width, and height of their children. Like tips, for instance, is as high as the highest child in it, is as wide as the widest child in it. Do you get the point? So if I have to, you know, want to set my width like this, I have to set the width up to the topmost level. So instead of doing that, let me just give my margin directly to the element that needs it, and we call it a day from there. Do you get the point?
Yes, sir.
So as against having to go up and up and up and up. So let's not spend so much time. I just want to give you a rough idea. So I'm not really looking for a perfect design, because if you try to perfect the design, we might not really, we might not be living here today. So let's go back to our design. So I think we have this slide, and this arrow down symbol beside this bar, beside each link item. So we can look at that. Let's just take a look at that later. We'll source for it online, because I don't think it's anywhere here. Or let me just check our images if we have it. So do we have it? Okay, we have it. Is it the chevron down? Can you see any chevron down? Chevron down. That's the name of the image, basically. Icon arrow. I think maybe it is this arrow lights. Okay, I think we should try this. It probably is this one. So what we are going to do now is we are just going to go to the anchor tag, and then inside the anchor tag, we are going to add and this is going to be a very bad thing to do if I do what I just want to do now. It is not going to be an elegant way of doing this, but I will risk it. And if it bites us, we cry a little bit and do the right thing. And that is the lazy me actually kicking it. So you can see that arrow down. Doesn't look so great, but that's not the way we should have handled it, because okay, as a matter of fact, let's just fix it, because just to be sure that everything will go fine. So the down arrow, so we're going to give this a display of flex, because now, and then to be able to do that, we also have to give this we have to put each one of these elements, and that's what I'm trying to avoid. So let's just put this in a span instead of just writing it out like that. So let's do the same for this. Let's cut it, put it in a span. And you can actually put things in your anchor tags, not just text. You get the point? You can put anything. You can even put an entire div in your anchor tag. It's allowed. So span, and what did you copy from it? Then I'll copy our image again and paste it inside. And I hope it's not looking confusing at this point. We're just trying to achieve this now. So we are going to do a display of flex. A display of flex on the anchor tag. Remember, the anchor tag now has two children. I want to do what? Align items, vertical align, center, so that nothing falls below another. Then for inside of the dot link, which is the L inside of the UL, and then we want to target the span inside of this. I want to give it a margin right, just to push the arrow to the right a little bit of 4 pixels. Just space that arrow out a little bit, so you can see that the arrow is spaced out a little bit. So that makes sense now. So let's continue chasing our career. So let me just close this. So I think I should close the entire nav left. Nav left, yes. Let's focus on nav right for a bit, because I feel it is already feeling left out. So nav right, and the first thing we do with nav right, of course, is what? Display of flex, because you have to be side by side. And now, yes, so we have two siblings side by side, non-equal, non-less. So we have inside of the nav right, we have the login button. So what we just need to do here is the login button, which is a div that has a what's it called inside of it. So we're going to do and you know what? Okay, let me just deal with the login button first. Let me actually because we have more than one button on this page, and it seems like they all look similar. This button and these buttons are very similar. So I'm just going to create an overall framework for the buttons, like the shape of these buttons, because they are of the same size, the same border radius, and so on. So I'll create a general button class for them. So inside of here, I'm just going to do a class name, and I'm going to add a button class. Let's just put that for now. And it's not button, it's not 3. Is there any word in English that has 3 T's, triple T's? Maybe a new word that I'm trying to coin tonight. So yeah, so we have this inside of this. So the login button that has a button inside of it. So basically, let's just, let's quickly add some margin to this, or maybe let's not add margin to it. The margin will take care of itself, because by the time we disable the background color and so on, I think the margin will just kind of fix itself. So let me just put a margin left. In as much as I said I'll put a margin right, just to push the other button a little bit away from it. I'll do 5 pixels. So the other button is slightly away from it. So I want to target dot login button, and and I want to target the button inside of it, and I want to remove the background color of transparent none. So when I save it, there will be no background color, and it looks very ugly. I want to say color should be inherited. So inherited color, and I want to say border should be none. So it has gotten rid of the border for us. So let's take a look at here and here. So I think I need to space this out a little bit more. So let's just space it out. Let's say like 10 pixels. So I think this is fine now. I think we need more. We need more. Okay. Yeah, so that's that for now. So now what I'm going to do first of all is to style this button tag before anything else. So for the button tag, I'm just going to create the overall framework for the button tag, not just button. So I'm going to say dot button. So what we are going to do is, first of all, we do a border radius. So border radius of I don't know what that is. 16 pixels. Border radius of 16 pixels looks slightly ugly. Can anybody help us? Or I should turn to God. Hello?
You can increase the border radius. Just increase the border radius. See?
I think you should increase the width.
Of the button.
Yes.
Are you sure?
How about padding?
Padding.
Oh, I think it's the padding.
So that means the border radius is perfect.
If we increase the padding, you can see if the border radius is perfect or not.
I think if we increase the border radius, so it will give that kind of cycle shape, then the padding is going to give the text inside. You're going to give it space, right? Like pad it up, down, left, give it padding.
How about we increase everything?
I should increase everything. Okay, that's nice. Okay, so basically, padding works. So we can do a padding of 10 pixels. Okay, glory be to the Lord. Okay, so what we do now is basically, I think there's something we forgot to do to the container of these two. So we did display of flex. We didn't do just align items. So you can see now. But it still doesn't look great. And this should really tell you that about programming it. You see every single detail you see on the screen. Someone has to relax to actually put it there. No magic will put it there. You get the point? You will have to calm down and put it there by yourself. You can whip over your computer. After whipping, you have to continue coding, implementing your design. That design will not be implemented by anyone. When I was starting out, there have been times when you just feel like I almost start crying, but when you are done, just arise and wipe your tears, lighten your countenance, anoint your head. This work is your work. No one will do it for you. So that's the word of the Lord for me. And maybe so it's very important that you are able to pay attention, and that's what that's the difference between, you know, a nice web page, when you get to a web page and you be like, wow, I like it and blah blah blah, and the one that looks very terrible is because somebody actually, you know, paid attention to every single detail possible. And that's why the more you look at it, the more you see the need to, you know, actually have to improve on something and implement something. So I've been talking over it, but I've added this new color to the button. Can you guys see that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So okay, so basically I didn't want to do that to this particular button because, okay, let's just call it button white button. Let's call it button white or light.
So I think there's space between sign and up.
Sign and up.
I'm seeing. Yes.
It's been a while. Thank you. Are you satisfied now? Or we had more space?
No, it's okay.
Like 2 plots. Okay, it's okay. That's fine. Okay, so that's this. So I think we are pretty much done with the nav section. So just that, so that we don't have to rewrite this code for this particular section because it's the same button, as you can see, right? So what we have to do is just to change this, you know, have this back button light, what's it called? Light button, you know, what am I saying? This light button, yeah, the one with the light button class name. Yeah, so we want to make that one responsible for this, both of the styling. So for some reasons, okay, let me just check where that light background is coming from. I think it's the default color of the button. I think that's where it's coming from, because I didn't apply any background. So if I say background transparent, okay, she get it. Okay, so that's not what I want. So I think that's fine. So this BG light is going to be responsible for creating this kind of buttons. We'll be needing it for this one eventually. So let's just leave that for now. So button light, I'll save it. When I save it, that's going to scatter. So I have to update this class name as well. So it is button light, right? Okay. Okay, so I think we are pretty much done with this. Let's not overspend time on that. Let's just move on to something else. So let's focus on this now. So remember on our main header, you know, wrapper, which is this header wrapper. So on our main header wrapper, we added the display of flex. So let's align it to the center so that everything is in the center now. Yeah. No, that's terrible. So what we are going to do, we are not going to align that to the center because it's moving our nav to the center, so we don't want that. So what we just do basically is we target the wrapper for that other section. So let me just close this now and focus on this, our hero wrapper. So for our hero wrapper, we give it a, let's go down and go to where we want to start at. So I think one of the first things my instinct is telling me is to put a margin top of 0 pixels and a margin left and right of auto. Just to kind of, what's that? Okay, now and that it didn't work. So there's something else I can do with a flexbox child. So I can do align self center, and that also didn't work. So let me just take a look at why that is happening. Okay, I think it's not an alignment problem. I think it's a text align problem because, you know, this is a div and it spans through the entire block. As you can see, the div we are trying to target is this hero text. You can see it's already the entire text. So when I do margin auto or align at item center, it really doesn't make any difference. And if I do that to everything here, it's going to affect our nav that, you know, I think we are already starting to like. So we don't want to do that to our nav. So let's just come back here and use this. And we'll still touch on a couple of things eventually. So what we need to do is just, instead of align self, all we need to do is do a text align of center. So you can see that that works now, right? Yeah, so that's it. So the font weight of this in modern publishing, I think that's the one with the font weight of 300 because there's a font weight of 300. And remember, this section actually has a font family of overpass. That's what we are using here. overpass. So I think the overpass has 300 and 600. So I think this 300 is what this section uses actually. So what is that element we need to target first? So we need to target the hero text. Yeah. So we target the hero text and we target the H1 in the hero text. So dot hero text and H1 inside of the hero text, and we'll do a font weight of 300. So let's see what that looks like. So I think it looks more like that now, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So then we have another paragraph under the hero text. No hero. I don't know how many times I've typed hero this evening. Hero text. Then let's do a font weight of 14 pixels here. And for the hero text, let's just the header. Let's put a border bottom, margin bottom rather. I don't know why my head is thinking one thing and I'm saying the other thing. Margin bottom of 20 pixels. Okay, now that's a lot of real estate. Maybe 10.
I think it's 10.
Yeah, 10 will be fine. I'm not even seeing any difference. Okay, I think okay, maybe let's just leave that way for now. But for some reasons, the margin, I think that's one thing with the font size we are using. Maybe that's one thing with the font size we are using. So okay, maybe I just get rid of everything. Like if we just make it 5. For some reasons, I don't think that's working. When you've tried all and it doesn't work, use important. As a matter of fact, before adding the margin, I think the spacing was actually quite okay. Maybe it's not okay, but let me make this 13. Let's restore the margin bottom because I think there should be a little bit more space there. So let's do a margin bottom of 3 pixels. Just to be sure that we have put margin. So then underneath this, our hero text wrapper.
Sir, the hero text paragraph, the font weight you are using is 13 pixels.
No, it's not font weight, it's the font. Sorry, Jesus. Font size. Thank you. I said I'm thinking one thing and I'm writing another thing. Yeah.
Sorry, in layman terms, because me like this, font size and font weight, what is like the most illiterate meaning you can give some understand?
Font size is how big the text will be. Font weight is how thick the text will be, how bold it will be. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay. Is that simple?
And that's why, yes, font weight, you can actually use values like bold, bolder, and so on as values for font weight, and it's still going to be valid. Can you see that now? And you can also use numbers from, I think, 100 to 900. Yeah. So we have this now. So let's just work on this particular one, which is 2 buttons below. So that's this hero buttons. So let's focus on hero buttons. So for our hero wrapper, let's give a margin bottom of 50 pixels. And I'm vexing to give that one. Yeah. Hold on. Okay, so I think hero buttons, hero wrapper. Okay, hero wrapper actually has a button inside of it. So this hero text is what I should give that my margin bottom. Hero text. Yeah. So where's hero text? Okay, I don't have hero text standing on. So hero text margin bottom. So let's do 50 pixels. So I know that's a lot, but let's just do it. And I'll leave it this way. So this button here, that's inside of hero.
Please, why don't you do padding So, margin.
Okay. When when we talk about padding, we said padding is within the element. When I need space within an element, I use padding. If the space is between one element and the other, it's not standard to use padding. Use margin, because most times padding is always a part. Padding is a part of an element. Margin is not a part of an element. So when you want to create space between two or more elements, use margin to create space between them. Do you get? Hello?
Yeah, I do. Thank you.
Okay. So then the hero buttons now is what we are looking to. So hero buttons, we are going to do a display of legs because you have to be side by side, remember. Okay, didn't say. So we'll do justify content center. Just put them in the middle. That one works. So we come here and do what's it called? So this is the first element, start for free. The start for free button. We also want to add that button class we create. So that's what button light, right? Yeah. Okay, let's go to our nav right and see. So we did sign up button light. So sign up button. So generally, I think by default, let me just go back up here where I'm doing all this default styling for tag names. Let me just add button, and by default, let me remove the background color button. Let me make it transparent. Yes, by default. Oh no, Jesus. So let me remove things like the border and all those other objects that will not be using on this project. The border now. So I'm trying to see why this is not taking the form of that other button we created. So how did we really style that button? This button light, I know we styled it in a couple of ways, and then color inherits. So is that the name we called it? Yeah, I think that's the name we called the class name. So button light. Oh, sorry. I'm actually putting button light on the div, not on the button itself. Do you guys understand that? Hence the problem we're having. Class. Do you understand why it didn't work?
Yes, sir.
So you can see now that it just works like that without me having to do any special thing. So okay, they look slightly different to me. Oh. So let me do the other button with border. So let me just do border. And the border button has a border of white. So border is 1 pixels. Let's just do white and see what that looks like. So I'll copy this and put it on this particular button. And where's that button? This second button here. So I'll put a class name and paste this and save. So now it has that, it still has the same, exact same rule set. But what I'll do here is I'll do background color rather. Transparent. So I will do color. Our color should also be white. Then what we'll do here is I'll just pick the start for free section and put a margin right to it. Yeah. So the start for free section. The start for free div actually margin right, and I'll do a margin right of 5 pixels. So okay, I think that's okay. Looks okay, but
Yes, sir.
so let's expand it a little bit and see what that looks like. So I think it looks just like what we are trying to do now, to a great extent, except that we need to add this. and probably add some, overall padding to our, project as well. So let's just space this out a little bit. Okay. So what we need to do now, let me just cut out this particular section, like this, that border at the bottom. So what I'll do to that is just trying to think. It's going to be border radius definitely, but there's this advanced kind of border radius that you get to use for that kind of thing, to pull that kind of stunt. So what you do for that kind of thing is just to do a border radius, basically, like I said. But the border radius you're going to use is going to be border bottom left radius. Does that make sense?
Anything English. Okay.
Border bottom left radius, yeah, this one. And you're going to give it a size. Then we can give it, let's just say 30 pixels. And let's see what that looks like. Okay, it looks very ugly. And then, okay, I think let me use percentage so that we don't jump a lot. So let's just use percentage. Okay, you can see that the other div we created for the background is kind of on top of it. So this is an example of what you call an overflowing content. So I will just give it an overflow here of hidden, so that none of the children inside of it will overflow, because overflow actually means that the children can actually, spiral out of their parents. Okay, I think let me increase this percentage a little bit more, maybe to like 11 or so. Does it look like we are close?
Yes, sir.
I
But
think
the circle inside the other one looks smaller than just our own circle.
which one? You mean the
Same
pattern?
circle. Yes.
That's an image basically. So I think we need to increase the height of this as well. We just have to manipulate our height and ensure that we have some. So what I'll do now is I'll just add some padding top and padding bottom, basically, just to make sure this element here is high. So let me just do a main height of let's see. No, that's a lot. So instead of actually using that border radius for this, I think let me take it back. Oh. Okay, I think this is more like it. Okay, I think this looks okay, but hello?
Yes, sir.
We are reducing the size of ours so that we can be able to see our code as we are writing it. You get the point?
Yes, sir.
So that's why
Yes, sir.
it won't be exact. This one is an image of a finished page. So once we extend it, you actually see that we see something very similar to this. And then that's just a function of the height of this, this page here. So it's pertaining to the head. And we can still, another thing we can do is we can manipulate the background size of our, what's it called, this pattern here. We can manipulate the background position to an extent. Yeah, so as we manipulate the background position, maybe like do 27, it keeps kind of changing the offset of where it is. Do you get? And I think 29 is kind of nicer, but hello?
Yeah,
So I think this 29 is closer. Then I think we also use a mean height.
Oh, my background color is not showing.
Your own background color is not shown.
Yes.
What happened? What have you done?
I'm trying to check it. I don't know that like, oh, okay, I've seen a mistake.
Okay, then here we'll do, and that's actually nice. You can actually be coding along while you are in class here. There's no rule that prohibits you from doing that.
superpowers.
So we have 15%. Remember what I did the other time was 80 pixels, right? That gave us the nice shape we were trying to get. So I think that this is okay now. So see, we spent a lot of time on this header already. So I think we just need to work with a lot of spacing here to fix a lot of spacing. A lot of things like space from here to here, space from the top to here. So for the nav, I think the 50 pixels we are using at the top and bottom is slightly too much. So let's reduce that to 20 pixels. So it's going to take it up. But overall, we want to add on our page header, which is this one. We want to add a padding of like 50 pixels top and bottom, then left and right 0 pixels. Oh Jesus, that doesn't look good. So okay, no, I think let's restore our padding to our what's it called to the nav bar. I think it's okay being here, but I think the one at the top is actually so much. So what we can do is we just have to add some margin bottom to the nav bar to push things down a little bit. So maybe like add the remaining 30 pixels. Yeah. So I think this is okay, right? Then between our hero text, I think, okay, let's not just overdwell on this. Let's go on to the next session, right? I think the overall idea is quite clear now, and I think that's my priority. Hello? Does that make sense? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Are you guys are sleeping?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, you guys should say we are here, sir. Again, let me see how many people are saying we are
We are here.
We are
Sir.
here.
Yeah, yes, sir.
here. Some people are not saying we are here.
We are here. Yeah, God, we are here.
Us and our ancestors. Yeah.
Some people are not here again. So I don't know that with us. Oh, Jesus. Okay, that's fine. So okay, let's just go to this section, right? That makes sense. So I think we've done enough with the nav bar and so on. And you should understand that the overall idea is not that we are trying to create a perfect nav bar or thereabout, but the overall idea is actually to ensure that we are able to, do something that, you can actually have an idea of how the whole thing is wired up. So that's my major, emphasis for the classes, so that you have an overall idea. Because if we decide to start polishing up everything we are doing here, Jesus, we've never written the HTML for this other stuff. Okay, let's see how far we can go. Okay, so now we have this section now. I thought we've written all our HTML actually. So now we have this section. So instead of using a div for this part, let's just use a section tag. So let's say, what should we call this section? Designed for the future. Right? So we'll call this section designed for the future, and then we call, inside of it, we'll have a section. And let's just call it the future section. And we can't finish this up tonight, guys. Hope you're aware of that. Hello?
Yes, sir.
We can't. I don't think we can. Because, assuming I'm just doing it, but I have to do it, explain, and be sure that you guys are following. So, and that's very important. So we are going to say section, because we have more than one section. So let's just say, let's call this section, section header. And that's going to contain an H2 that says designed for the future. And then under the H2 we are going to have two things basically. But what I want us to have is first to have a div that says subsection, wrapper, and I think we just do this section and stop there, or maybe we might not even finish section because the target is to end the class by 9:30. People have to go to work tomorrow definitely. So under the subsection, Kingsley, please can you mute your mic? Okay, thank you. So under the subsection, we are going to have we have this header here which we've already created. And when I save, you're going to see that. Okay, this is it. So we've already made that. Then the next thing we have to make now, and let me just take that off. So the next thing we have to make now is this section here. And we have this image is here in our images, this it's here. So I think it's this we have this circle pattern, which is, if I copy path, I'm going to get to see it in the browser. So we already have this. Oh, so this is it. So we have that circle, which is, where's that? This circle beneath this other image. Then we now have this image, which is like one of these illustrations here, but we'll not be looking at that for now. Let's just fill out every other thing. So we have this section that says introducing this. So we have like two two different groupings here, and then inside this grouping we have another grouping, the header and the paragraph. So let's just go and create this section. So subsection wrapper. So inside of it we have one div again, and let me just create a comment that says introducing and I don't even have energy to even correct any spelling error. Anyhow, it is. So we have div dot let's call this subsection header, and I want to use standard class names. I just don't want to use class names where you will have a struggle understanding what I'm doing. So, but instead of just putting each subsection inside of this subsection wrapper, which is this main thing, I call this entire section underneath this design for the future subsection wrapper. So, but inside of this, I want us to have another div that groups these two, then one div for this particular side. So here's what we are going to do now. We are going to say what's it called? Okay, subsection header. So before subsection header, so we're going to say subsection left here, just like we did with the navbar. So we're going to do subsection div dots introducing, or let's just do div. Yeah, let's just do a div. Let's not give this div, but I give it the class name because I'm kind of running out of class name concepts. So inside of this we have an h3, and this is a level 3 heading introducing. Did I say introducing? Jesus. Introducing an extensible editor. Yeah. Then underneath it will have a paragraph that says P, and I won't type all of those things. Let me just do Lauren to generate an auto text. So I'll save it. So we have a text inside of that, because I can't have to start looking at this one and start copying the text. So let me just copy this and paste this one more time, and it has gotten to that point where we just copy and paste stuff. And this other text is not as big as the other one, the one on top. So let's just reduce this one to an extent. So let's look at our HTML. It doesn't look so impressive, but I think we are well on our way. It's already taking that form. So that's that about this subsection left. So, and let me just say left section. So we're just going to say the other one is going to be our what? Right section. Then we're going to do a div of subsection right. And guess what will be inside? Just the same. It's not going to be paragraphs and headers now. It is going to be this big background down here. Then we are going to have another, what's it called? Another image inside of it. So we are going to have a div inside of this, and then it's going to be illustration. We have an IMG, and the IMG is going to target images, and I don't even know what image that is. So let's just say illustration editor desktop illustration. So I'm trying to find which one. I don't know which image, but I think we just try one after the other and see which one it is. Okay, I think this is the image we are looking for actually. So it's actually together. It's an already made image. So it's not what I thought it was. Are you guys still with me? If you are with me, say hello.
Yeah.
Okay. And why do you guys find it so hard to turn on your video?
Because NEPA is showing us
See
showing.
Laura here. Laura is there NEPA. There's no NEPA, but Laura is still turning on her
Oh,
video.
Nepal.
Yeah, now turn on your video. You understand?
Want to see my face? Okay, oh, see my face, oh.
Okay, so but are you guys excited for the class so far? Like, it's gradually coming together, right?
Yes, sir.
See, Kingsley, your
Why-
room is even as bright as the day, and you don't want to turn on your camera. Okay. Okay, so I think for this section, I think that's pretty much everything we need to do really for it. Like, we've already created everything we need for this section, so let's just start targeting the CSS. Oh, it has I come in my spirit, God. So at this point, so here's what we do now for this section, because you know I'm just doing this and I just want to show you my thought process. So first of all, what I would think about is to be able to, we already have a section and we have a div inside of it. We have this header, and let's just try to work around the header first and put a margin. So let me put a margin underneath this our header pattern so that it just spaces it out from what's it called. So this is our page header. Let's add a margin bottom to it. Margin bottom, just to push the next section down a little bit. Let's add a margin bottom of 100 pixels and save it. So I think this is okay, or maybe too much. Let's just do 70. Okay, I think that's fine. So the next thing we need to target, and I've even abandoned this style guide. I beg, I'm just tired. Okay, but eventually when we are done, we just have to look at the style guide and polish up a couple of things again. And it's that kind of project where after you're done, you want to take a look and just adjust this thing, adjust that thing. But for now, let's just stay on track and try to go as fast as we can. So for this section header, which is this particular, so we have a section that says future, but we'll not be doing much with the future element itself, but we might have to do something with it. But let's just go on to the header, because that's the first thing my instinct is telling me to actually start working on, because that's the first obvious thing I can see that we need to actually, as a matter of urgency, declare a state of emergency on our H2 element, and that is to just give it a text align of center. So we give this a text align of center. So this one, H2 text align center. Yeah. Then on the section header itself, let's add a margin bottom of 30 pixels just to push away that thing down. Yeah. So does that make sense, guys? Okay, I think we actually need more margin. We need more margin. So like, I think 40 will be fine. Okay. So that's that about this. So now we have this, and then what I want us to do now is to focus on this particular section. But for now, let's just put these two. We have this element, which is the header. Then we have underneath it another one element that has two elements inside of it, and each one of the elements have their own children. So let's focus on that again. So we have this section header which we've already dealt with. So let me just collapse it for now. We might have to do something with it later, but for now we are not doing anything with it. So we have this section wrapper that contains every single thing, all of these things inside of it. So subsection wrapper is going to have a display of flex just to put this thing side by side, to put the image and the text side by side. And the moment I do display of flex, it's going to look very ugly, but it's going to be fine. Everything is going to be all right. So display of flex, and I'll save it. And like I said, it's going to look very ugly, but don't worry, God is with us. So we have this. Who is slapping somebody? Is that a slap? Is it mosquito? Okay, so we have this now. Subsection left. So let's focus on subsection left. So subsection left is going to, and what I want us to do, I just want us to give it I want us to give it a width. I want us to give each item inside of this a width. So we give one, a margin. Sorry, we align. Okay, I know what we're going to do. So let's just leave this for now. So let's focus on this subsection left. So for subsection left, I already copied. So I want us to give it a width of 45 pixels, 45%. And then for subsection right, let me just target subsection left and subsection right, so that this image can get out of our way, because as long as this image is as big as this, we can't really style this text. Does that make sense, guys? So let me deal with subsection right. People of God, when I say does that make sense, I know it makes sense. I just want to know if we are still together. So that's so let me get feedback.
Okay, sure.
So with 35 pixels. So you can see that now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but you know that 45 plus 35 is not 100. That's 80. And let me just expand this window for you. This is what I'm talking about. So our image is still very big. So let's just do justice to our image, because as long as our image is as big as it is, we won't really be able to do everything we want to do. So okay, so what we are going to do to our image here is we're just going to target our image illustration wrapper, right? So what we'll do is we set our image to 100% of its parent container. So we'll do illustration wrapper img, and we're going to do width of 100 pixels. Okay, so I think that's nice now. So we know we now have a lot of space by the right side. So if you inspect it now, you are going to see something important. You're going to see that this entire section actually has a lot of free space on the right hand side, and it is a flex box. That's why you are seeing that those stripes on the right hand side of the screen, the extreme of the right hand side of the screen. So what you can do now is, as we have a display of flex, you can do justify content, and you can do flex end. Yeah, so it's going to push it over to this other side. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So push it over to the extreme, so that there will be space on this side, just like what we have on this other image. So we are going to come here and do justify content flexor. Okay. And I think it is, I think the image should have a wider area than the text. I think the image actually occupies more area compared to the text. So let me make the image 35, and let me make this one 45. Let me make the image 45. Okay, I think that's pretty much, that's better. So what we are going to do now is we are going to sorry. Okay, so let's just focus on the paragraphs for now.
Hello,
So,
please, can I ask a question?
okay, please.
We've seen that most times, whenever you have a problem, you bring out a solution based on a positioning, just like the way you just did. That image was very close to those text. So you now do justification content to flex end. I've never heard that word before. I'm just learning. Fine.
Yeah.
But because this thing here is you are bringing up an exercise which you actually are killing the solution here. We are getting to know about some things because there are some other kind of designs that you can't treat all, right? Which there are some other things, which I believe there are some other positioning that can be used to do all these things. So my major question here is there any a site where we can get most of all this positioning stuff somebody can read all through? Because with time, if we start trying to design on our own, we get to meet some kind of positioning that we don't even know before. So some kind of things that we need some kind of position we haven't heard the word, like this justification content. I'm just hearing for the first time, flex end, and it shifted it to the end side.
Okay.
That's my question.
And the thing is that I mentioned, I think at the beginning of the class, I mentioned things like MB, MDN, W3 schools. You guys can remember. Those are all places you can go to read, about subjects like this. You can read, because I can't even teach all of the CSS properties. And that's why we are doing projects. So as I do projects, you get exposed to more and more of them. Do you get the point? But the great deal is that you have to go and read about most of them by yourself. And I think I left some resources initially in the group when we were starting out so that you can read about most of these things and some of the sites. Yeah. And I dropped some on Discord as well, where that resources channel. So there are some of them there. So you can take a look. But I think after this class I'll also drop another, a link to another kind of to a documentation where you can read about most of them. Does that make sense? To be helpful, right? Okay. So I said let's start the paragraphs. So the paragraphs is going to be subsection left. So subsection left, yeah, I think has a div. And I think the header is actually similar for both of them. So what we are going to do is we're just going to do subsection left div. We're going to do h3, I guess. And we're going to do margin bottom. Yeah, we're going to do 20 pixels. Let's see what that is. So that you can see that there's now spacing between this margin and the paragraph here. That's what we want. So let's reduce the font size to 18 pixels. And I just want us to run so fast. That's why I'm not even checking any of those, the style guide again. So at least let's cover a very great margin. So subsection left div and then the paragraph inside of it. Let's do font size. Let's do font size 14 pixels. Yeah. Okay. And then let's just target the subsection left. And this subsection left is sounding like the Constitution. It is not the Constitution. So div margin bottom. So let's do 40 pixels. Just to space both of them because they're actually very close. So I'm spacing both of them out. It doesn't look exactly like it. Okay, maybe it is, but I just space both of these out using this selector here. And this selector is targeting the H3 that is inside of this div, that is inside of this subsection left. Does that make sense?
Sir, sorry. Okay, so from what you just explained, if I understand you correctly, the subsection left is like inside the parent div, while the second div is like a child div. So if you want to call, like for instance, when you wanted to call the P inside this child div, you called subsection left, which is in the parent div, and then you call the child div, and then you call the P.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is just like we are going down the hierarchy. So that's the point.
Okay, so
So font family. Okay, so I think this is making sense. So I think we've been able to style this both of them together like this just by using, because they share similar selectors actually. So that's why it's possible for us to actually style both of them together. So let's come down here now and then focus on this image, because this other image is kind of entering into the wall. Maybe it's afraid, so trying to escape. So let's just target that image, and this might be where we stop tonight. Let me not just keep you on this call for too long, because I know even if you want to go, you will not be bold enough to say you are tired. But for me, I'm tired and I'm bold enough to say it. Illustration wrapper. Yeah. Okay. I think I'll target this illustration wrapper. Okay. Subsection right ing. So let's do left of so that's what I used to, actually get this to like enter into the wall a little bit. So I use a position of relative on the image, and then I took it left like 28 pixels. So the more I take it to the left, the more it vanishes into the left. And then when I take it like 100% to the left, you might not just get to see that image anymore. Hello?
yeah, yes, sir.
So 25.
But sir, if you're using left, why is it going right?
You are like this is the beginning of the image. This is the beginning of the container. You get. So you are taking it 25. You are making it relative to what the content inside of it. So the more you go to the left, if I do right, it's going to start coming this direction, because the spacing is going to be taken from the left down to the right. You get the point? It's going to start offsetting it from the left. That's the idea.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so it's the position that actually affects the direction that it's supposed to.
Yeah. So if I remove the position, you see that it doesn't do anything to it.
Okay, so
So I think pretty more like it now, but what we need to do is we just need to bring down this guy, and put it so that it will be aligned together with this. So I think from what we've been doing so far, you can see that this our text here is just up here and our image is down here. How do we fix that, given the fact that both of them are in the same flex box? So you can see the align items fixes that for us. Do you understand what I just did?
yes, sir. A bit.
See what happened. This was how it was initially. The image is kind of like down, and then the text is up. The paragraph is kind of, they are not properly aligned together horizontally. If you look at it, see where the image is, and see where the text is. But in our what we are trying to work with, they are like kind of aligned on the same axis. Along the horizontal axis, they are kind of aligned together. You can see that this text is actually in the middle of the image. It is not up. The image is not down. Neither is the paragraph. The text kind of offsetting upwards. Do you get the point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes, sir.
yeah, so that's what we are doing here. So since two of them are in the same flex box, which is this what did we call that?
Subsection wrapper.
Subsection wrapper. Yeah, that's very correct. So we just do align items. Align items aligns vertically, right? So we just do center. And if we do flex end, it's just going to push two of them towards the base of the flex box. So, but for now, when we do align item center, it just kind of puts them side by side. And you can see some misbehavior because my screen is small, but once I expand the screen, see that it's the way it's supposed to be. You can see that.
Yes, sir.
And I'm making the screen small so that you guys can get to see it. So, but I think it makes sense now, and we probably have to reduce this font size. I strongly believe. Where's that? So let me just change the 12 pixels. So let me just come back here and kind of fix. Let me try and fix the colors on the paragraphs and so on. So let me just do the color. So I think at this point, guys, I think we should just end it here for now. Right? Then tomorrow we'll continue from here. Does that make sense? Or we should fire
Yes.
that? It's not me and you.
I'm not fired on.
Not me and you, actually. I'm tired. I'm super tired. At this point, my hand is thinking one thing and my head is typing another thing. So I think we should just call it a day here. It's been a very, I think you've learned a lot tonight. Have you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We have.
Okay. So we just have to work on a couple of things tomorrow. Then we'll finish it up. So tomorrow, I think we'll start the class. Oh, not tomorrow. That's Friday. We start the class exactly by 7 o'clock. There will be no 30 minutes break because we have to finish this week. Yeah. And then, guys, I think you should also try to play around this locally. You get. And what I want you to do is just do it as far as we've done it at the moment, following the video. Then do it as far as we've done it, then upload it to YouTube. I'm sorry, not to YouTube. Post your screenshot on Discord. You get the point. I want to see it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm actually.
So you want to see what?
I want to see the. Just do it up to this point, please. Everybody, every single person, do it up to this point. Do it on Replit, in fact. It's possible. So section header. I'm just trying to tidy a couple of things before I shut it down. And I want to fix this what's it called, this margin bottom of 70. I think it is too much. Let me change to 30 because when I make the screen bigger, it's kind of just, I don't think this is what I was looking to achieve. I think the problem is the spacing between here and okay. I think the spacing is coming from let me remove section that margin bottom to reduce that spacing a little bit. Yeah, so I think that's, so we'll just continue from here tomorrow, guys. I have to reduce this spacing, so we'll continue from there the next class we have. So good night, guys.
All right.
I'll stop presenting now and also stop the stream.